destroying your fitness results. And guess what? It's probably not your diet. It's not your training program. It's not your genetics. It is the habit of constantly negotiating with yourself. Exactly what I'm talking about. One workout won't matter. One meal won't ruin anything. I'll start properly on Monday. I've been working hard. I deserve a break. And here is the funny part. Technically, you're right. One bad meal will not make you fat. One missed workout won't destroy your physique. One late night out won't ruin your health. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is what that decision teaches you about yourself. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you're wiring something in your brain. You're training yourself to be a guy who can't be trusted. And every time you follow through, especially when you don't feel like it, you are wiring the opposite. You're training yourself to be a guy who finishes what he starts. That's the real battle. Not one workout, not one meal, not one weekend. Your identity. And until you understand this, you're gonna keep repeating the same cycle. You get motivated, you make a plan, you follow it for a few days, then life gets uncomfortable or gets stressful. Perhaps you sleep badly. Somebody invites you out, food shows up in front of you, and suddenly everything becomes negotiable. That's why most people never transform. Decisions are not isolated, they are repetitions. And those repetitions, they become habits. Then your habits become your standards. It becomes identity. And your identity controls your behavior. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're trying to lose fat. You tracked your calories all week. You're finally making progress. And Saturday comes, you go to a birthday party, there is pizza, there is a cake, there are drinks, and somebody tells you, come on man, one night won't hurt. And again, technically they are right. One slice of cake is not a problem. The problem is you had already decided. You had a goal, you had a plan, and now because somebody applied 5 minutes of pressure, you're considering abandoning your own decision. That's what should concern you, not the calories, the weakness of your standard. Because when you give in, you are teaching yourself something. You are teaching yourself that your decisions can be changed by discomfort. You're teaching yourself that your standards disappear the moment other people question them. You're teaching yourself that what you want right now matters more than what you said you want the most. And the next time you are in the same situation, giving in becomes easier. Not because the food got more powerful, because you trained yourself to surrender. A lot of you guys think discipline is something you either have or you don't. That's not true. Discipline is practiced. And guess what? It's always inconsistency. Every time you make an excuse, you are practicing making excuses. Every time you delay something, you are practicing delaying. Every time you quit, when things get inconvenient, you are practicing quitting. But the opposite is also true. Every time you train, when you are tired, you are practicing discipline. Every time you stop eating, when you have hit your calories, you are practicing control. Every time you go for a walk, you plan. Even when the weather is bad, you are practicing following through. You are always training yourself. The question is, what are you training yourself to become? A man who keeps his word, or a man who needs the perfect mood, the perfect schedule, the perfect circumstances to do what he said he would do? Most people are waiting to feel ready. They think consistency gets easier once they are motivated. But consistency is not the result of motivation. Consistency is the result of standards that do not change with your emotions. You train because it is what you do. You track because it is what you do. You prepare your meals because it is what you do. You don't wake up every morning and reopen the debate. That's exhausting. Think about it. Imagine if you had to decide every single morning whether you're gonna brush your teeth or not. You do not negotiate that. You just do it. That's where you need to get with your fitness. So you need to stop saying, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to become consistent. That language already gives you an escape route. Trying means maybe you'll do it, maybe you won't. You're leaving yourself room to fail. You want to start speaking in a way that reflects the identity you are building. I train 4 times a week, track my food. I don't skip 2 workouts in a row. I keep promises to myself. I finish what I start. Now, you might not fully believe those statements yet, and that's fine. Belief is built through evidence. Every time you act in alignment with identity, you're giving yourself a proof. You do not build confidence by repeating affirmations in a mirror, like insane person. You build confidence by showing yourself that your word actually means something. That's why fitness changes way more than your body. When you say you'll train, and then you train, you build self-respect. When you say you will stay within your calories, and you do it, you build self-trust. And when you say you'll wake up early, you do your work, stop making excuses, you become stronger mentally. Your physique becomes visible proof of your standards. And that's why getting in shape feels so fucking powerful. It is not just about abs. It is not just about shoulders. It is not just looking better in a t-shirt. It is the realization that you can decide to do something difficult and actually complete it. But most people never experience that feeling because they keep lowering the standards to match their behavior. They say, I'm only human, I need balance. You have to enjoy life. Let's talk about that. Of course, you should enjoy your life, but why have we reduced enjoyment to eating, drinking, partying, scrolling, and escaping? Why can't enjoyment come from progress? Why can't enjoyment come from becoming stronger? Why can't enjoyment come from waking up with energy? Why can't enjoyment come from looking in the mirror and respecting the man looking back at you? There is nothing wrong with the meal you enjoy. There is nothing wrong with taking a holiday. There is nothing wrong with resting. The problem is when every moment of discomfort needs to be escaped. The problem is when you call a lack of discipline balance. It's not randomly abandoning your plan every weekend. Balance is designing a plan you can actually sustain. There is difference. If your diet is so restrictive that you can't follow it, fix the diet. If your program requires 2 hours a day and you've got job, family, responsibilities, business, fix the program. But don't keep blaming the plan when the real problem is you refuse to tolerate discomfort. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a plan that's clear enough to follow and a standard strong enough to protect it. Because here is what happens when your standards are low. You miss one workout, you feel disappointed. Because you feel disappointed, you eat worse. Because you ate worse, you tell yourself the day is already ruined and the weekend is ruined. And you promise to restart on Monday, and by Monday, you have lost momentum, you've lost confidence, and another week. This is why one decision matters. Not because one decision determines your entire outcome, because one decision can start a pattern. Now your goal is not perfection. You will make mistakes. You will have bad days. Sometimes you will sleep badly. Sometimes you will miss a workout because something generally important happens. Sometimes your calories will be higher than planned. That's life. But strong people don't turn one mistake into an identity. They correct quickly. They don't say, I failed, so might as well continue. They say, that was not the standard. I'm back on track now. That's maturity. That's discipline. Not never making a mistake. Refusing to let the mistake become your new direction. So you need rules to stop emotional decision making. For example, never miss twice. If you miss a workout, the next one becomes non-negotiable. If you overeat at one meal, the next meal is normal. You do not starve yourself. You don't binge again, you return to the plan. If you have a bad weekend, one day is not a punishment. It is simply a return to your routine. Stop adding drama to everything. You're not broken. You're not starting from zero. You made one bad decision, make a better one next. That's how consistency is built. Not through intensity, through returning to the standard again and again. Now you also need to understand social pressure, because when you start improving, people around you may not understand it. You start tracking your food, they call you obsessive. You stop drinking every weekend, they say you're boring. You wake up early to train, they tell you to relax, take it easy. You bring your own food, they tell you one meal won't hurt. Sometimes they're joking, but sometimes they mean well. But sometimes your discipline makes people uncomfortable because your behavior reminds them of what they are not doing. And instead of raising their standards, they are trying to lower yours. You don't need to argue with them. You don't need to preach. You don't need to prove anything. You simply say, no, thank you, I'm good. That doesn't fit my goal. Don't do that. And you move on. Strong standards do not require long explanations. The more you explain yourself, the more it sounds like you are asking for some permission. You do not need permission to take care of your body. You do not need permission to stop drinking. You don't need permission to order a better meal. You don't need permission to leave early because you're training in the morning. And here is the funny part. People may pressure you at first, but when they realize that you are serious, many of them will start respecting you. Not everybody, but the people whose respect actually matters, usually they will. Because most people are not used to seeing somebody stand firmly behind his own decisions. They're used to people saying they want something and then abandoning it the moment it gets inconvenient. That's normal. But normal results are not what you want. You don't want the normal energy levels. You don't want the normal body. You don't want the normal discipline. You don't want the normal life. So stop copying the standards of people whose results you don't want. Look at your current life. Look at your physique. Look at your confidence, your energy, your business. Look at your relationships. Your results are showing you the standards that you have accepted, not the standards you talk about, the standards you actually live by. Everybody says they want more. They want more money, they want more confidence, a better body, a stronger relationship, more freedom. But guess what? Your life doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you repeatedly do. That's why your daily standards matter more than your goals. Goal sounds good. Standards create results. Your goal might be to get ripped. Your standard is whether you track calories today. Your goal might be to build muscle. The standard is whether you train with intensity today. Your goal might be to build a business. Your standard is whether you do the work when nobody is watching. Your goal might be to become a better man. Your standard is how you behave when things get difficult. That's where your future is being built, in those small moments when nobody is cheering, when nobody is checking, when you could easily make an excuse and get away with it. Those moments, they reveal who you are and they give you the opportunity to become someone stronger. So here is what I want you to do. Identify the excuse you repeat most often. Maybe it is, I don't have enough time. I am too tired. I'll start next week. I deserve this. One day won't matter. Whatever it is, stop treating it like the truth. It is a script and you've repeated that script so many times that it feels automatic. Replace it with a stronger rule. I always have time for the priorities I protect. I can train even when I am tired. I start with the next decision. I deserve the result more than some temporary comfort. One decision is a vote for the man I am becoming. You don't need to use those exact words, but you need a response prepared before the excuses show up. Because when you are tired, hungry, stressed, surrounded by some pressure, that's not the time to invent your standards. Your standards should already be decided. That's what a real plan does. It removes unnecessary decisions when you train, what you eat, your calorie target, your protein target, what you do when life gets busy, what you do when you make a mistake. You stop relying on motivation because the decisions have already been made. That's how you become consistent. Not by trying harder every Monday, by becoming somebody who no longer negotiates with the basic actions required to reach his goals. And once you do that, everything changes. Your body changes, your confidence changes, your energy changes, the way you carry yourself changes. Because every day you are collecting proof that you can trust yourself, proof that you can handle discomfort, proof that you can make a decision and stand behind it. That's the man you are trying to build. Not somebody who is perfect, somebody who is dependable. Somebody whose mood doesn't control his standards. Somebody who gets back on track quickly. Somebody who does what he said he would do. So stop asking yourself, do I feel like doing it today? Ask yourself, what would the man I want to become do right now? Then do that. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when motivation comes back. Do it right now. Because every decision is training you. Make sure you're training yourself to become somebody you respect. And listen, if you are tired of restarting, tired of guessing, tired of trying to build your physique without a clear system, this is exactly what I help my coaching clients to do. We build a training plan around your schedule. We calculate your calories and protein. We create a clear fat loss strategy. And most importantly, we build the accountability and standards required to actually follow it. Because information is usually not the missing piece, execution is. You will find the application link below. But whether you work with me or you do this alone, remember this: your future will not be determined by your best intentions. It will be determined by the standards you refuse to lower. Raise them, take them, and become the man who follows through. Let's go get it.